We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagum Sashtanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dhadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Mandukya Upanishad. We have completed the first chapter. Today we are going to start the second chapter. Before we do that, I just want to give you a simple introduction. Generally in spiritual study, we study the Bhagavad Gita mainly to purify our mind of all the impurities like kama, krodha, lobha, madha, matsarya. So the main objective of the Bhagavad Gita study is to purify the mind. Then the Guru advises us that even though you can get a glimpse of the Atma Jnana in the Bhagavad Gita, to go deeper into the subject matter of Atma Vidya, we study the Upanishads. So then we take up 4 or 5 Upanishads for study as spiritual students. We know the goal of life, the purpose of life is to leave this aspect of we being a human being and convert ourselves to a divine being. The purpose of life is to become a divine being. Being human means attached to the form of this body and taking the form of the body as real and taking the entire experiences which we have in our life as real. That is what is meant as a life of a human being. What the scriptures tell us or want to teach us is how to drop this identity of me with the body and attain a higher state. With this goal in mind only, we start the study of Upanishads, whether it is Keno Upanishad, Katho Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, we study each one of them. And in each of these Upanishads, the purpose of the study must be very clear. I have seen what this life can offer. Mainly, life consists of, for us, most of us, earning money, have a few enjoyments in life, in the Grahastha life, and usually that is how we spend our life, and then we leave the body. What the Shastra tells us is, when you do that, you will be born again as a Manushya again and come back again into this Bhumi, into this world, and come again, and you will be in the same cycle of birth and death. In order for us to leave this cycle, the Shastra gives us a prescription and tells us, know your true nature, not as a human being, but as a divine being. For those who have done this, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, Daivi Sampat, Asuri Sampat. Daivi Sampat leads to moksha. We drop the Asuri Sampat, become Daivi Sampat, and then work towards Atma Jnanam and become free from this identification to the body. So this is the purpose. The purpose of human life is not for dharma, artha, and kama. The purpose of human life is for moksha shastra. It is for moksha, getting the freedom from rebirth, getting freedom while living here. I want to be a pure divine being. How do I do that? Then only the purpose of Upanishads, the study of the Upanishads, makes sense. Otherwise, the study of Upanishads will not give you money. It will not help you to earn money in life. It will not help you to get comfort in life, which money can give. It will not give you pleasures, worldly pleasures of objective life. These three are all what is called as karma kanda, the first portion of the Vedas. Once you have graduated and seen what life can offer by way of comforts and pleasures, and you feel that that is not the end of life, that is not the real meaning of how I should live. All the students who come to Mandukya Upanishad have a very clear purpose, have a clear goal. They want to become a divine being. A divine being who is not affected by the sorrows in life. The sorrows will come and go, but the goal is Turiya Atma. I am the divine Atma. It's a very different experience altogether. It is called Turiyam, it is called as the fourth state. Compared to the three states, it is called as the fourth state. And there are some fundamental lessons we should be very clear when we are approaching with the goal of being a divine being. The first thing is we must understand that we are Sakshi or Turiyam, we are a spirit. The spirit is different than matter. A spiritual being is different than a material being. We are all today material beings. We look at our body and say this body material is me. We look at the world, all the world of possessions, the house, the wealth and everything which is there in the bank accounts and all that, we say this all belong to me. And that me is the material body. This is our starting point. But we have to drop this notion and change into a divine being, which is Turiya. That is of a higher order of reality. When I say divine being, it means that I cognize myself as something different than the body. I am of a different order of reality. I shift from this order of waking state, dream state, sleep state into a higher order. That higher order is called as the Turiya. See, this approach towards this whole subject matter is very, very important. That's why I'm giving this sort of a broad vision, so that when we look at the second, third, and fourth chapter, it makes sense to us as to why we are studying the second and the third and the fourth chapter. So I want to leave this identification of the body as me and take a new identification as Turiya. In order to do that, I must learn the process of becoming Sakshi, to own it and experience the experiencer. Today we are all experiencing the world of objects, and the experiencer is the mind. Now I want to go beyond the mind and understand who am I. This is the objective of the second chapter. The world which we see, including my body and mind, is existing as manifestation, again goes into unmanifestation in the sleep state. This is the first part I should understand very clearly, because now I am now trying to understand the nature of the world itself. In the world is my body. In the world is my mind. I am now looking at from a vision of like going out of the world and looking at my what is happening in this world. The world is manifestation, unmanifestation, manifestation, unmanifestation. Waking state, dream state, both are manifestation. Unmanifestation is the sleep state. This is the first realization if you want to become a Turiya Atma. Then I have to apply what I have learned in verse number 7 to the self which is beyond the sleep state. That is the second lesson. In Mandukya, we have learned the sixth mantra. It says, I am one with Ishvara in the sleep state. And Ishvara has got Saguna and Nirguna avasthas. Saguna avastha is the sleep state, waking dream. The Nirguna avastha of the Ishvara is the Turiya. And the Upanishad says that my Nirguna avastha and the Ishvara's Nirguna avastha is the same. Therefore, I apply all the terms which I have learned. Na anta prajnam, na bahish prajnam, na bhayat prajnam, all those, each and every term which I have studied there. Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Prapancho, Upashamam, all that I mentally bring it, close my eyes, apply it to that state which is beyond the sleep state and see my real nature. So for all of us, the seventh mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad is equivalent to Shrotrasya Shrotram Keno Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Taittiriya Upanishad, Mayeva Sakalam Jatam Kaivalyo Upanishad, Asparsham Arupam of Mundaka Upanishad. All this are revealing my nature of Turiyam Atma. So if this is what is my real state, what is this waking, dream and sleep, which are the three ego states of the mind? They give me a feeling of being a separate entity in this universe. And I take myself to be a jiva. These three states, the ego states, according to Mandukya Upanishad, are of a lower order of reality and they are considered as Vaitatyam, false. They are mental conceptions, they are mental, the whole three states. According to the vision of Mandukya Upanishad, we have to learn to understand the transactional reality is only of a lower form. Like, for example, we take the dream and the waking is higher than the dream. The dream is higher than the sleep state. So there is some order of reality in all the three states, and the fourth state, Turiyam, is the highest, where there is absence of ego, absence of disturbances of any emotions, thoughts. And they say that this ego rises from that pure consciousness. It abides in that pure consciousness. And it resolves in that consciousness. Once it resolves, there is only one Turiyam. In the whole universe resolves into one Turiya Atma. And I learn to abide in that peaceful, joyful Swarupam. That means my nature. That is the fundamental purpose of this whole study. I am born if I am the ego. I am not born for the ego fulfillment, but for the ego dilution. So I take the Nivritti Marga. Pravritti Marga means I keep on building on the ego. So there is a change in thought pattern, in my own thought pattern. I have seen enough of life, the joys, sorrows, birth, death, diseases, so many things I have seen. I want to ask the question to myself, is there something other than this world of birth and death? The only answer you will get is when you study the Mandukya Upanishad, where it says, yes, you have a different vision of Turiyam. All Upanishads give us the same vision. It's amazing, really amazing how thousands of years ago Upanishads were written. They came in the form of Shruti. They were taught from one generation to another generation to another generation. It was taught only by speech, by verbal communication in the past. Today we have a Zoom. Today we have the WhatsApp. Today we have a different world altogether. But this knowledge has flown from time immemorial to teach the human beings how they can rise from the level of a human being to become a divine being. The only reason why we don't realize this Turiyam is because of our ego. Attachment to the ego is the only cause for our ability not to recognize Atma. Atma is our real Swarupam. It is our nature. It doesn't need anything else. Ramana Maharishi, in one of the divine quotes which was circulated last week in the quotes, in the divine quotes section of the Vedanta students website and also the WhatsApp group, Ramana Maharishi says very clearly in one of the quotes, he says that the real guru is not outside, but it is inside you. The real guru will teach you what you should learn if you are climbing the stairs of Atma Vidya. The real guru is inside. He will bring together the text for you. He will bring together a teacher for you. He will bring to you the teaching. This is the law of this universe. It is not, this is how the universe, like birth and death happens, freedom, moksha is also a part of this universe. Bandha and moksha are a part of the vyavaharika states. It is the state of mind. So I learned how to drop the ego states and go on with the Turiyam as my real nature. In between Turiyam and the Jagat, there is only one thing which is called as Ajnanam, ignorance. There is a very, very big study, academic study, which is possible to understand this nature of ignorance. When we study the Upanishads and the Karikas, there could be some gaps why we don't understand and realize the Turiya Atma. In my experience, I have found that the study of two important areas. One is the study of Shankara Bhashyam of Kshetra Kshetrakna Vibhaga, the second verse of the chapter 13. Shankaracharya has written a beautiful commentary on how to separate the body, mind, and the world from this Turiya Atma. Very beautiful section of Shankara Bhashya. For those who are very, very keen, academically they want to learn, I would suggest if you can go through the Shankara Bhashyam, there are many websites which give you that. A lot of lectures are also available in the YouTube and so on. So one is that study of Shankara Bhashyam on the second and third verse of the chapter 13. The second one is, there are many people who are listening to these talks online, and they also, some of them, they don't come to the classes, but then they receive these recorded versions. That's why I'm mentioning all this. The second thing which is good is, which will help you to understand the second chapter and the third chapter of the Mandukya, will be, if you have done in the past, or if you can get hold of Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, the Shankara Bhashyam, the first Adhyasa Bhashyam. The Adhyasa Bhashyam reveals how Shankaracharya's mind reveals the Turiya Atma. Very beautiful section. It is a master surgery of the mind. How cognition can be changed. All our cognitions, see, we are all cognizing the world in our own mind, each one of us. We all see the world according to the sense organs. They send the signals to the mind. And then we have a picture of this world. Now, that picture which comes into our mind, how that can be changed? By removing a simple superimposition, which is called as adhyasa. This is a cognitive therapy. It is a wonderful exercise, but it's all in Sanskrit. It needs to be translated into English and understood. And it is a process. It's a cognitive process is undertaken in the Brahma Sutra Adhyasa Bhashyam, which proves without any doubt that there is an error in our vision. What the senses are revealing to us is one thing. What is factually there in the world is another thing. So for those who are interested in both this Shankara Bhashyam of Adhyasa Bhashyam, you can get in touch with me. I can just guide you a little bit if you want to pursue that deeper. But these two exercises will help you to understand the karikas of Mandukya Upanishads. That is the main thing which I wanted to convey, so that when you go through these notes on the Mandukya Upanishad, second, third, and fourth chapter, you will be able to appreciate the content much better. In these sessions, I am not going through every detail of all the karikas because that will take a long time. I'm just going to give you a glimpse of each of these chapters. I have finished the first chapter. I am now going to give you the second chapter. A glimpse today. We'll start. The second chapter consists of 38 karikas or verses. Now, these verses are divided into 5 topics. Verse number 1 to 3, it talks about Swapna Prapancha Vaitatyam. The word Vaitatyam means unreal, false. Vitatam means false. So we all know that the dream world is false. So that is what is described in 3 verses, 3 karikas. Then from the 4th to 18th, the main thrust of this chapter is mentioned, that Jagrat Prapancha, the world which is experienced, is also Vaitatyam, unreality of the waker's universe. So we know the dream world is false. What the Upanishad is teaching us is Prapancho Upashamam. The world resolves in consciousness. The Jagrat world resolves in consciousness. Therefore, for all practical purposes, with reference to that Turiya Atma, I can understand that the waker's world and the dream world are one and the same. Because they rise from consciousness, they exist in consciousness, they resolve into consciousness. Then from verse number 19 to 29, some of the misconceptions regarding the reality are removed. Different views of Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, they're all different conceptions. Some believe, like Sankhya, they believe that there are many, many Atmas. They are very close to Advaitam. They also believe in the Vedas, but the only blunder they make is the Atma, they take it as many. And because they feel that Atma is experiencing joy and sorrow, each one of us is experiencing different joys or different sorrows. Therefore, Atmas are many. They forget that the Buddhi is responsible for the joy and sorrow. The Buddhi is different, but Atma, the one which shines behind the Buddhi, is one. This is Vedanta and that is Sankhya. So there is a misconception about Atma being many. That is Sankhya. Yoga also has a similar view. It is Dvaita philosophy. I am Atma, and whatever I experience is also real, according to Yoga Shastra. Nyaya Shastra and Vaiseshika Shastras, they are completely lost. I'm telling you, these are the four main viewpoints which existed in the past during Shankaracharya's time, during Gaudapada's Charya, which is almost like 2000 years before today. So there are, even today, there will be, so for people when they study the Upanishads, they will still have a very similar doubt as people in the past have had. So Nyaya people, Vaiseshika people, or people even today, they are found people who are only looking at logic and logic to prove Atma. You can never prove Atma by logic. You can use logic up to a certain extent, but logic cannot reveal Atma. What reveals Atma is the Shastra, is the Upanishad. So they go into the material concepts of Atma, and for Nayayikas, though they feel that Atma itself is material, not consciousness. Consciousness is one of the 14 attributes of Atma. I don't want to confuse you at this stage. I just want to give you that there are many, many misconceptions. All those misconceptions are threadbare analyzed in the Mandukya Karika in the 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter, and the 4th chapter. Brahma Sutra is one. The 2nd chapter of Brahma Sutra also deals with the with the same four: Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika. It deals with the four opponents of Vedanta. This Mandukya also deals with the same. Vichara Sagara, a very advanced text, also deals with the same. So, in all higher texts, you will find that they all try to understand what is the nature of Atma and how is it completely free from this body and mind. That is the basic philosophy by which all these entire misconceptions come. And that is why I said the study of the Adhyasa Bhashyam, which is the fundamental of Vedanta. Shankaracharya's, all his commentaries are based on Adhyasa Bhashyam, the theory of error, the theory of superimposition. When I first studied when I was doing this spiritual study, when I first studied rope snake example, I thought, what is this rope snake example? It doesn't, it's such a simple example. Why do they bring it to such a big extent in the spiritual study? Until I studied the Shankara Bhashyam, Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, Adhyasa Bhashyam. I mean, it's amazing how this simple example of an error of a rope being taken as a snake is used by Shankaracharya in the Adhyasa Bhashyam to remove the complete ignorance which we have about Atma. The entire 3 states, I mean, this is a revelation. All of you should know. The entire 3 states, waking, dream, and sleep, are compared to the rope snake. All the 3 states are compared to the rope snake. And the rope is taken as the Turiya Atma. So ignorance of the rope leads to projection of a rope snake. Ignorance about Turiya Atma leads to a projection of the 3 states as my nature. Very, very deep analysis of this is taken up. And this is what I was telling you earlier as a master surgery, mental surgery, is a cognitive therapy. It's a huge science behind it. How error happens in life, in the mind, and how to remove this error and come out free. That is the subject matter of Adhyasa Bhashyam, Kshetra Kshetraknya Vibhaga Bhashyam of Shankaracharya. Very, very prominent commentary, a top-notch commentary. No Vedanta student should miss this, because that will remove the final obstacle to realize the self. Many people have studied the different Upanishads. They don't know how to claim this Atma as the self, and how to drop this body and mind as the non-self. And the study of a proper, it takes time to study these bhashyams, because it takes a few hours of study each, because it's a logical step-by-step analysis. Very deep. How the mind works, how the mind splits the I, the real I of Turiyam I, how it splits into the waker I, dreamer I, sleeper I. That is explained beautifully. Then verse number 30 to 34 is the conclusion. Padatraya mithyatvam. Padatraya mithyatvam. That means all the three padas, waking, dream, and sleep, they're all appearances. They have novelty in them, they have utility in them, but they are mithya. They are not non-existent, but they are only appearances. 35 to 38 is sadhanas and phala. What are the disciplines to be followed, and how do I get the benefit out of this study? So first of all, when we study this Vaitatya Prakaranam, like I said, Vaitatya means proving that the three states which we experience, waking, dream, and sleep, they are of a lower order of reality. There is a Turiyam, there is a free divine state which is beyond these three states. And in the seventh mantra, there are two words which you can see. Prapancho upashamam. And another word which comes is Advaitam. Advaitam chaturtham manyante sa atma savigneyaha. So Prapancho upashamam is the word which is taken up in this chapter. Chapter 2 is an elaboration of Prapancho upashamam. Unreality is also called as asatyam, anrutam, mrisha, or vaitatyam. These are all different Sanskrit words they use. This is called as Jagat Vaitatya Prakaranam. When you say Jagat, it means all the three worlds: the dream world, sleep world, and the waking world. The sleep world is nothing but a world of ignorance. Dream world we know, waking world we all know. Now these three worlds are upashamam. They are all resolved into Atma. And that, where they resolve, that one is the real Atma, the substratum, the adhishtanam, on which the three states are coming and going. The three states I said was the rope snake. And the rope is the adhishtanam. So without the rope, the rope being present, the adhishtanam being present, You cannot have an error. You cannot think of something by itself. So you are thinking that a rope, which is the adhishtanam, you don't know the rope clearly. You take the rope as a snake. Similarly, you don't know the Turiyam, the pure divine being, as the real nature, as my own real nature. The I which is there in this body, I keep on saying I. That I has got two references. One is this body, and the second is the same I refers to that divine being. I learn through this Upanishad how to change my understanding of the ego I, the waker I, the dreamer I, the sleeper I. How do I change it to the Turiyam I and become a divine being? And why is it called as Advaitam? Because without the substratum, that Turiya Atma, you cannot have the waking, dream, or sleep. Very important point you should remember. If it is not clear, you can ask me a question. Put in the chat box, I can explain again. Without the waker I, you cannot have the dreamer I or the sleeper I. Now the Upanishad is saying, without the Turiyam I, there is no waker I. And the Turiyam is the description in the 7th mantra. In that Turiyam, there is no consciousness outside, there is no consciousness inside. I am not conscious of the world outside, not conscious of the inner world. Because inner and outer are with reference to the body and mind. The enclosure. The body and mind is an enclosure, like the walls of a room, the walls of a stadium. With reference to the walls of the stadium or the walls of the body and mind, we can say of a room, we can say there is a room space, there is a stadium space, which is bigger. Similarly, we can say there's a consciousness enclosed in this body mind, which is the jiva. And there's a whole consciousness, all pervading consciousness, which is like the stadium space, it is Paramatma. But you remove the walls, what remains is only Atma. And that Atma can exist by itself. The divine being, as a pure being, I can exist ever. That is the teaching. Because that is real, and this all the three states are coming and going in that, the reality of the waking world is borrowed from that Turiyam I. Without the Turiyam lending the existence and the consciousness, you cannot have the three states. So this Advaitam principle is not Shankaracharya's principle. It comes in the Mandukya Upanishad in the 7th mantra. It is the nature of Atma described in the Upanishads. Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante. From that, see, once you understand, then this aspect has to be very clearly understood. If you understand this Advaitam principle, Kaivalya Upanishad, Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Brahmam, Satyam Jnanam, Anantam Brahma, all those verses will make sense to you. Even this mantra, 7th mantra of Mandukya, will make sense only if you understand Advaitam and Prapancho Upashama. That is why Gaudapadacharya, the great grand guru of Shankaracharya, took up these two words. And he wrote so many verses. Can you imagine how many? You have seen 35 verses, 38 verses on one word of the Upanishad, Prapancho Upashamam. So there is a lot of meaning attached to this one word. Similarly, there are other things like Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham Manyante. See, each word you can write commentary after commentary. And even in the next chapter, Advaitam. Advaitam also is described in 38 verses. So 38 verses for Prapancha Upashamam, 38 verses for Advaitam, 76 verses for two words of the Upanishads. Very beautiful sections, but this is the way you have to understand. You must be very clear. See, Vedanta is a darshanam. It is a vision. It is a new vision of the Upanishads about myself, about the world, about this creator called as the Lord. Consciousness is God. The name of God in the Upanishad is consciousness, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is the name of this consciousness. Turiyam is a name. These are all different names used in different Upanishads, but they all mean the same seventh mantra. Once you have known how to drop this identification, the body and mind, that itself is a very, very big lesson in life. Because you can live that life as Turiyam Brahma, as Turiyam, as pure consciousness. It is not just for academic study. For 1.5 hours, 1 hour, you just come listen to the commentary. No, it is not for academic study. That is, we do it because our mind, these are all training for the mind. And we must continuously be learning. Throughout our life, let the learning continue. Either you learn first, then you start teaching yourself. Each one of you can start teaching. The moment you have understood something and you have claimed that that is my real nature, the mind will force you to start some sessions, some teaching sessions for you. Or suddenly you will find 3-4 people asking you to teach something of the Upanishads. And that is how the Upanishads are spread. Each group takes up 2-3 people. Again, whatever you have learned, you transfer. And the more you transfer, the more you will feel that you're enjoying this Upanishadic living. Turiyam is free from the world. It is wordless. There is no world in Turiyam. That means all the 3 states are resolved. In the Turiyam, from the point of Turiyam, only you can negate the 3 worlds. This is very, very important point. You must be clear, because you, in the waking state, you are an individual. There is a creator of this whole waking state. Each one of us is only a small individual with a small mind. And we go through the state. Every day of our life, we go through the state. There are certain things which we are able to control, small decisions we are able to make. But if you go to see, the whole waking state is given to us. It's a blessing. Similarly, the dream comes. Similarly, the sleep state comes. These are all the 3 blessings of Ishvara to the Jiva. To realize the nature, to realize for the Jiva to realize his own nature as that Turiyam Brahma. Because this waking state can be negated through knowledge. That is why we call this as mithya. The definition of mithya is very beautiful in Vedanta. What can be negated by knowledge is called as mithya. The rope snake can be negated. It can be negated by the knowledge of rope. Similarly, our whole waking state, the dream state, can be negated because of the knowledge of the waker. The sleep state can be negated by the knowledge of the waker. The waker's world can be negated the moment you have the knowledge of Turiya as your real nature. Even in the dream state itself, you are negating the waking world, because nothing of the waking world remains with us in our dream. All the joys and sorrows and the possessions and the body and everything resolves in the sleep state. Very comfortably, I just drop it. Which means that there is an element, there is something which I don't know about myself. I'm so easily able to drop all this suddenly, as if this has got no meaning for me. And I go to sleep. Peacefully, I'm asleep. Nothing bothers me. But in the waking state, everything becomes real. Everything, I take it as if it is 100%. I work towards something. I work throughout the day, planning, doing, studying, reading, acting in life, shopping, working, so many things I do. But everything is dropped in the sleep state. What the Upanishad says is the same thing is happening when you drop the sleep state, you climb to another divine state, which is called as Turiya state. So what is the significance of negation of the world? World is experientially there. Apparently it is there. Seemingly it is there, but not factually. This is a very important statement when you have to study chapter 2, 3, and 4. World is experientially there. Sunrise is experientially there. Apparently there. Blue sky is experientially there. Apparently there. Seemingly there. Dream is experientially there. Apparently there. Seemingly there. But all the three are not factually there. Factually, it is one consciousness, one Turiyam Brahma. This is where our teaching ends. This is where we own up that Turiyam Atma is my real nature. That is the fact. My eyes and the sense organs cannot see that Atma. We'll never know the Atma. The mind can never know the Atma, because it is a revelation of the Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita, where it says there is an Atma which is called as Turiya, and that is your real nature. The Shastra is the eye of wisdom. Do not try to use logic or an experience through the sense organs or through the mind for this Turiya. Many people commit this mistake. Drop the mistake. Accept that you are Turiyam because the Upanishad reveals it. These are the words of the Upanishad which says, Na anta prajnam na bahish prajnam. Shantam upasamam chaturtham manyante sa atma. That is the words of the Upanishad. I have value for the Upanishads. Accept it as the truth, and then you see whether you are able to grasp the whole meaning of Upashamam. The whole meaning of the Upanishads start revealing to you. You accept it as a fact and learn to drop the body. Okay, the body and mind will go through the experiences of life. It's not that after you learn the Turiyam today in the class, tomorrow onwards you will be Turiyam. Not like that. What you should say is, I will still undergo the experiences of life, but in my own heart, in my own mind, I accept that my real nature is worldless, bodiless, mindless. When I have removed all this, I have become utterly naked in front of Ishvara. I am pure. I'm not a male. I'm not a female. I'm not an Indian. I'm not an American. I'm not a Chinese. I'm not a Spanish. I'm not English. I'm not German. All these are all attached to the body. I have learned through the whole waker itself is dropped. Forget about the body and the gender and profession and the possessions. Whole waking state is dropped. I am not the waker I. Finished. I am not even the dreamer I. I am not even the sleeper I. Who am I? I am Turiya Atma. There is no outside consciousness. There is no inside consciousness. There is pure consciousness. If I know that is my real nature, how can I ever get disturbed by the thoughts in the mind, which come in the waking state and go off in sleep state? This is the lesson of Mandukya Upanishad. The key to open up the Mandukya Upanishad lies in this one sentence. Factually, the world is unreal, non-existent, absent. And that is called as prapancho upashamam. Factually, it is absent. Seemingly, it is present. Apparently, it is present. Ultimately, the fact is, all these are resolved into one consciousness. That pure consciousness is my real nature. I accept it because the Upanishads, the words of the Upanishads, it's the words of the Veda. That is the I, the wisdom I. I put on the cap of the wisdom of Mandukya, 7th mantra. All the time remembering, I am the Turiyam Atma. I am the Sakshi. And learn to live the life of the body and mind. Thoughts will come during the day. It'll ask you to do certain things. You will do it. Sometimes you will have some desires, kama, krodha, lobha, all these characteristics of the mind will come. Let it come and let it go. You learn to swim. You learn to swim. When the waves come, you rise above and learn to swim beyond the waves. Know the ocean, then when the big waves come, you dive deep inside and remain as Turiyam Brahma. The agitations in the mind are the waves, the thoughts which come in the mind during a particular event, during a particular experience in life. I learned to live through those events and experiences only because I have learned Atma Jnanam, Turiya Jnanam. Knowledge of Atma holds a very, very high pedestal in the entire spiritual study. Preparation of the mind takes time. And the Atma Jnanam also takes time to have clarity in this knowledge. That is why the study of this second chapter, the Karikas, becomes useful to us. The entire three padas, the three pairs, Vishwa and Virat, now all of you are familiar. Vishwa means that consciousness attached to the body. Virat is the consciousness attached to the whole universe, the waking world. So they are pairs. They come in pairs. Vishwa and Virat comes in pair. Taijasa of the dream world, Hiranyagarbha of the dream world, they come in a pair. Prajna and Ishvara of the sleep world, they come in a pair. The first pair, I link it to a matra of Om. Second pair, I link to U matra. The third, Prajna and Ishvara, the Ma matra. So when I chant Om, I am going through the pairs of Vishwa, Virat, Taijasa, Hiranyagarbha, Prajna and Ishvara. When I remain in silence after chanting Om, I am with my own nature. Pure nature of Turiya. I have learned how to drop this entire world and remain in my Swarupa. That is the beauty of this Mandukya Upanishad. We'll continue with this topic 1 onwards next week. I'm going slow and giving you the vision of the entire Upanishad, entire spiritual study, so that you can enjoy these discussions. Because if you understand where we are going and what we are doing, it becomes easy to appreciate. And then you can always go through these verses at your own time. You can go through these verses because they will require more time and effort. But once you have this vision in these sessions, my idea for these sessions is very simple. I want each one of you to learn how to drop the identification of the body and mind as my real nature and go towards Atma and claiming Atma as the real self. In all these discussions of Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, this is my only goal. And when I am taking these sessions, this is the goal I have, and I am trying to see how you can understand and reach the same goal, which the Upanishads are trying to make us learn. With that, I close today's session, and we'll continue with this topic 1 next week. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Is there any questions from your side? I will ask Shanmugam to unmute. You can unmute yourself. And if you have a question, you can ask now. Yeah,
May I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we've been when we started off, we had said that the mind has 3 states.
Correct.
the waking state and this thing. And then at the end, we have said that the consciousness has the three states.
It is a
Which
substratum
obviously, because beyond the mind, it's substratum beyond, yes.
Yes. You see,
Substratum
consciousness
of
is
the mind, and
substratum.
therefore the
Yes.
consciousness is the three states.
Yes.
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 But we have now, we used to say that the mind is a reflecting medium. The consciousness, through the reflecting medium, experiences this world.
Correct.
So what has happened is at the end of this entire thing, we find that the mind has actually evaporated.
Yes.
It's insignificant.
That's correct.
Mind doesn't feature anywhere.
That's correct.
So we are saying that the consciousness attached to the waker and the waking world. But
Yes.
we don't now say that it uses the reflecting medium
Correct.
of the mind. So why is this suddenly this mind is not being given that emphasis in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta?
Yeah. You see,
While in Buddhism, mind is the everything.
yes. You see, the difference is mind is a false entity. It is ego is a shadow. The mind and the shadow, whenever the shadow is there, it brings in the waking state, the dream state, and the sleep state. When the shadow is not there, it remains as the pure consciousness. So basically, we want to learn how to drop this ego I and just remain as the pure consciousness. That is the whole purpose of the entire teaching. Whenever you try to learn, what you're saying is all my experiences of waking, dream, and sleep is just a shadow of the mind. I am the screen, the consciousness in which all this is happening, and the movies are happening like on the screen. The waves are all in the ocean, hitting, dashing. But I am not the waves, I am the water, I am the screen, I am the consciousness in which they all come and they resolve. Again they come, again they resolve. And in the sleep state, I remain as my pure nirguna avastha. So what is the truth? The truth is that adhishtanam. Without that adhishtanam, there is no world. So Advaita means that without the rope, there is no rope snake. Without the Atma Turiyam, there is no waker, dreamer, sleeper. So I learned to say the waker, dreamer, sleeper, the rope snake is a mithya, it is adhyasa, it is an error of understanding. I say I have now changed my understanding. Through the study of the Upanishads, I have learned that the rope is the truth, the adhishtanam turiyam, the screen is the truth. I am the pure being. I am the divine being. That being is got divinity in it because it's immortal. It is timeless. So I have learned to drop the entire events of which are happening in time, which is the waking, dream, and sleep. I am now into a new area of, I have a vision where I can remain timeless at any time I want. I can choose. I can just decide right now I want to be in my real nature of Turiyam. Just tell yourself, I am Turiyam Atma. That is this study. That is the adhishtanam, the study of the adhishtanam. The mind is a false entity. When you go through this chapter again next week, you will see how the mind is just an incidental entity. With the help of mind, only this body comes into form. Without the mind woken up, the body's form is not seen. In sleep state, there is no body, there is no mind. But I am there as Turiyam Atma. So start as Turiyam Atma and then try to learn to see the three states. You will have a full vision of Mandukya Upanishad. It is very easy. We may take time to learn, so many classes are there, but when you understand, when you're cognitively you try to remove the error, it is very easy. And then you will say, oh my God, it's so easy and so simple. Because ultimately it is my nature which I'm talking about. It is not through the eyes I will see it, but it is only through the knowledge of the Turiyam described in the Mandukya Upanishad. I keep that as the eye. I drop this physical eye. I use that torchlight of the Mandukya Turiyam. I wear that torchlight and then see what happens to me in the sleep state, what happens to me in the dream state, what happens to me in the waking state. The torchlight is the consciousness. And then you will understand, as consciousness, you will understand the truth. As the body, you will always be in error. As the mind, you will always be in error. The vision will be wrong. As the body and mind, I am in time. As consciousness, I am timeless, immortal. Nothing can disturb me. Nothing. I am that pure consciousness. That is the teaching. Is it clear, Deepak?
Yeah, I'm clear. I mean, because I think Mandukya lays the final imprint of understanding the consciousness of the Turiyam, and while the other texts have used the mind as the mirror, and now we have moved from the mirror of reflective material of the mind to the screen of the as if the consciousness is now the screen.
Yes.
So we have just moved on.
Yes, you have become a senior student.
Yes.
In the junior student, you took the mind, reflection, the enclosed consciousness, all that is for the junior student. That is a stepping stone. But now you're leaped and you have crossed all the barriers. You have now going to the other side. Through this, now I'm now taking purposefully, I'm taking a very high level of teaching when I'm teaching this second chapter. I'm now jumping from one level of teaching to a highest level of Vedanta. I'm trying to teach the highest level now so that you can realize this pure consciousness. You're right. I know, because you have attended my previous talks, now you can see the difference in my level. I'm glad you are able to see the height of the teaching, because I want to give you the ultimate, because there is nothing else which is required, and it's very simple. Get it and enjoy it. That's all.
And you will let us know the supplementary reading of the Bhashyams.
Yes. I will let you know.
You send that if you can.
Yes. I will.
Then we'll read that. Yeah.
Yes, I will. At the end of the Bhashya of this Turiya of this Mandukya Upanishad, I will tell you where to look for those Adhyasa Bhashyam and this Shankara Bhashyam of chapter 13. You will appreciate it. Because that is real therapy. It's going deep into your mind and changing it. It's like performing a heart surgery, and then it's a mind surgery, because it's something which you have to listen. Again, it's just listening.
Loosens the grip.
Yes.
Final grip.
Yes. You see, it gives you the final grip. You may not understand the full depth, like how you are understanding the Gita and Upanishad, but that is the real height. There are 14 talks of the Adhyasa Bhashyam. There are 14 lectures of 1 hour each. I will give it to you after you.
Who has done that? Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'll give you the full detail.
I would appreciate.
But that is why I'm not giving you today, because today if you do it, you won't understand it. I want you to get ready first. I want all of you to become ready to receive that as the final message of spiritual study. Because There is nothing beyond the Adhyasa Bhashyam of Brahma Sutra written by Shankaracharya to defeat all the schools of thought, to not only schools of thought, to defeat all our own doubts which can arise. It tells us very clearly that we are all making an error by taking the body, mind, waking dream as real. He will teach you by force, you will understand. Oh my God, this is such a simple thing. I forgot. How come I didn't realize this? You know, it makes such a big impact on you. Okay, any other
Thank you.
question? Thank you. Yeah, Venkatesh, you had any question?
No, nothing, Shekhaj. I'm just listening. Yeah, interesting. These karikas are extremely knowledgeable. Lot of analytical approach, and it's all for removing illusions in the mind.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else has a question?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Vishy.
Very much.
Ekhaji, if nobody has any questions, then I can ask you another question.
Oh, sure, of course, no problem.
Is anybody else has any questions? They can ask. Otherwise,
Yeah, Rohit, do you have anything?
No, Shahid, I don't.
Okay, all right. So now in this, Rohit, I'm taking a slightly higher approach towards Mandukya Upanishad because I have listened to these bhashyams of the Adhyasa Bhashyam, and it gives you a different approach towards Mandukya Upanishad, and it teaches how to take the Turiyam as the final stage, because this is it's only a change in the mind set, that's all. And so you will find, how do you find, I wanted to ask you, do you find these meditation sessions useful?
You're asking me? Shahid?
Yeah.
Yes, Shahid. I actually sometimes revisit these sessions on YouTube when I'm practicing meditation on my own.
Okay, so you find the meditation useful?
Yes.
Anybody else has anything on the meditations? Are you able to follow it up and reach the same as to what I'm trying to reach, the Turiyam Atma? Does anybody else have anything to say on the meditations?
Shekhaji, this is Uma here.
Yeah, Uma, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the first Wednesday when I'm able to join in the meditation, because every time there's people around me. So, and I mean, like what Rohit was saying, I didn't go into the YouTube. When the meditation starts, I actually stop. But today you are live, so it's different. So
Okay.
I felt that I didn't want to come out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when you were saying the prayers, I was still in a very still position, and so there's such a reluctance to get out of it.
Yeah, that's
There
correct.
is a fantastic. I'm still feeling it actually. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. So that's the feeling of presence which I want to bring it to you, because in these sessions you must feel it yourself that I am the pure being. I am the pure presence. That's all. Because this is the way we learn how to drop the identification with the body and mind. Okay, Akshay is also saying the meditation, because these are very, very deep meditations because why I'm doing this meditation is because I am taking you to the highest and telling you that this is what you have to realize as yourself. And you can also use the YouTube or the sessions which I can pass it on to you, all the meditation sessions. For your own meditations, you can follow the same procedure. It's only a 10 minutes meditation. You learn how to do this meditation yourself. Once you listen to it, do it twice, three times you listen and do it. Later on, you yourself will be able to go to such a depth in your own self and be that self. See, that is the real truth. If you have done that, there is nothing else required. That is the spiritual study which we have taken up. and it is giving us what we are. The rest of the things which you listen, you can keep listening to the talks and all that, but the transformation happens when you realize the pure divine nature as your real nature and not the nature of the mind. Because all of us are deluded by our minds. The mind plays a trick on us. It tells us that there's so much we can do in the world and we can get happiness and joy in the world. It's a trick of the mind. Learn to drop the tricks and go as per what is taught in the Upanishads if you want to know the real nature, or if you want to know where is that happiness and peace. This is the place where peace exists in all of us. And once you have experienced this peace, you know, the rest of the agitations which come in during our waking state, they will not make any impact on you. They will come and go, they will come and go. You will be able to take life a little bit more easily than what you were taking it before the study. Yeah, Deepak, you had a question. Deepak?
Basically, I'm going to digress a little bit. This is regarding the BMI chart.
Yes.
The body, mind, intellect chart, perceiver, feeler, thinker.
Yeah.
So in this particular chart, we start with the vasanas actually.
Correct.
And we are saying that there's the vasanas that the Om through the vasanas experiences the body, mind. So why vasanas? Why not the mind? Why did we not use the word manas or buddhi? Or why vasanas are just impressions? That's it. So why was vasana given the
Okay,
focus?
good question. I think your study is getting more deeper now. Good. Okay. See the BMI chart, all of you know very well because I've taken it many times in our sessions. Right at the top is Om. That is how the BMI chart starts.
Yes.
Now, Om stands for pure consciousness. That is my real nature. That is Turiya. Now, what is that which disturbs my nature? What is it which disturbs the Turiyam when I'm sleeping? I am Turiyam. What is it which disturbs this pure Turiyam is vasanas, the causal body. What disturbs us is the tendency in the mind, which is beyond the mind. It is not the mind. Vasana is beyond the mind. It is the causal body. Mind is subtle body.
Okay.
So that is the reason vasanas is right at the top. After what disturbs me from Turiyam Om is the vasanas, which is the vasanas in me, the causal body. That is what disturbs and makes me wake up. Wake up, then I feel the mind, the subtle body. So the causal body is the vasanas, the subtle body is the BMI, the mind, and then the gross body and other things come up. So does it answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Karana Sharir has vasanas as
yes.
its...
Karana Shariram is
and
the vasanas. That gets...
Stula Sharir is the...
yes. The Sukshma Shariram is the mind, which is a lower...
is the mind.
Yes.
Sukshma Sharir is the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So vasanas are the tendencies, the punya papam in my account. Why I take the body is because of this vasanas. And what the Upanishad teaches is, if I have learned how to drop these vasanas also and go to Turiyam through this study of Mandukya Upanishad, remain as that pure consciousness, then even vasanas cannot disturb me. That the tendency of the mind to ask for desires in life, that will get reduced. My desires, the fears, the notions that I am the body, mind, it will drop by itself. I will remain as the pure being while living. And it's a very beautiful feeling.
Criticisms of Advaita Vedanta is that it's a more of a renunciates philosophy.
Yes.
But I did not find that, because I would imagine that anybody, the other philosophy which says that you have to go to the root of the samadhi is perhaps more renunciate. While here, that once you live in conscious awareness, you can continue to engage with life
Yes.
with full force, knowing that this is nothing but a drama.
Yes.
But why did this criticism come in? Yes.
Yeah, that is because all other philosophies are Dvaita philosophies. You see, the yoga, see that samadhi which you're talking about is from yoga. So yoga believes that ultimately you have to just remain in samadhi, and that is your final state. But what Advaitin says is, samadhi is not the Turiyam state, it is the state of the mind which is without thoughts. Samadhi, according to Yoga Shastra, is a Dvaita state. It is, that means you are there and your mind is there. Two is Dvaitam. What Advaitam teaches is that mind has to be dropped finally. Don't remain in Samadhi. Samadhi is just a state of the mind where the thoughts are not there. You see, in sleep also, thoughts are not there. I am really thoughtless in sleep. So why do you want to go into samadhi to understand that you are having a state of thoughtlessness? So that is where yoga and Advaitam, they differ. So up to a practice, it is okay. For purifying the mind, you can say, I can be in samadhi, I can reach up to samadhi. But after that, please come to Turiyam. Come to Turiyam. Understand that there is a conscious being which is aware of the blankness. And that is where that adhyasa, I was telling you, there is a superimposition.
Superimposition.
Drop the superimposition and own up Atma. That is the final stage.
And that makes it Jivan Mukta.
Yes, that makes it Jivan Mukta. The otherness, adhyasa means the otherness. You drop the otherness of the mind in samadhi and remain as the pure consciousness. That is Advaitam, that is Turiya. So learn to first understand Advaitam completely. Then you try to understand what does the Sankhya say, what does the Yoga say, what does the Nyaya philosophy say. Then you will understand how to drop and how to negate all philosophies. One by one you can take up. And that is why I say that this study of Adhyasa Bhashyam is very, very useful in the last state. Before that, I mean, that's why Brahma Sutra is taken up after the study of Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. Then you take a Brahma Sutra, because that is where you want to cognitively understand and clear the doubts in your mind and remove that ignorance which is there in the mind. The moment the ignorance of Atma, it is not the ignorance of the world. That is, we can study, we can physics, chemistry, business, all that we study and all that. That is useful to us in the waking state. But here you are trying to remove that final thing which is stopping you from owning up that Atma as your real nature. Anyway, I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Knowingly dropping all the logics. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Drop all the logical questions and own up the Atma. Finished. If you see, many of us, if you straight away take the vision of Veda as the right vision and you take it and you have no questions, then you are a simple person. Then you don't need all that Adhyasa Bhashyam and all that. You say, okay, Veda is telling me this, I take it as the truth and finished. But suppose your mind keeps on questioning, yeah, how is it possible? How is it possible? You know, that question is erupting in your mind. Then you need the therapy. Then you need that cognitive complete incision. Some surgery is required to remove that doubt in you. Once and for all, Adhyasa means, what is this Adhyasa? Why is this Adhyasa there in my mind? Because, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. You see, through Sanskrit words, the Adhyasa Bhashyam, they can go, there is nothing which can take us so deep like a Sanskrit word. The word Adhyasa itself is broken up and broken up and broken up so deep, so that my mind travels and then I'm able to completely remove that ignorance and the light of Atma shines. Then you will accept, oh, waking, dream and sleep is just an incidental thing. Atma is the real. After that, you will have absolutely no doubt. You will conduct classes, you will, with full confidence, you will conduct classes and say, what I'm teaching is the truth. Okay, people may not understand it, but then it will slowly, they have to develop, purify the mind, and then again they will understand. Thank you. I think we have gone through in depth. We'll study next week again the second chapter. Thank you, all of you, and good night.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Shekhar.
Thank you, Rohit. Hari Om.